Good morning, everyone. Happy Wednesday. I'm the Grace Strega, and I'm here to give you your daily collective read for today, Wednesday, February 14th, 2024. What do we have coming through in the cards for today? First card coming through in our 5-card spread for today is we have here our Fool card. We love to see this energy starting off today. New opportunities, new projects, new experiences, taking new approaches. Remember what I said about what we are observing in the energy of the divine union frequency yesterday. What was coming through that was requiring that point of modification and adjustment? Something about assessing any of those points of frustration, hurdles. I will amplify the fact that one of the things that we saw and identified was moving energy into divine union more quickly over the last few days was the fact that outside situations or circumstances that were pulling energies apart was actually fortifying a lot of energetic connections that were occurring. The energy that was coming into divine union, the setbacks, the hurdles, the things that were creating physical distance were actually amplifying the connection point to a certain extent, while also separating some energy, because that was that moment of basically identifying and feeling, again, the connection growing stronger, even at a point of emotional distance, even at a point of situations or circumstances that would have felt like they made things more difficult. In a way, they were almost fortifying the energies that were coming into divine union. Now, for the energy already in the divine union frequency, these setbacks and hurdles, they didn't necessarily feel like they were affecting or impacting the energy in the divine union frequency. They were coming through more as a point of frustration, specifically for masculine energy, bearing in mind this is not based on gender, but what it feels most aligned to. This is why we see right now that a lot of the masculine energy is working through that point of frustration, but trying to take more practical actions, looking at circumstances and situations, trying to assess what can be made more efficient, what can be modified, what can make something easier, potentially even trying to escalate a manifestation goal that is in the future and trying to bring it to bear sooner, because masculine is now feeling the weight of the circumstances and situations that are effectively feeling like they're creating unnecessary hurdles, even in the energy of the divine union. Now, one of the difficulties that we're seeing right now, even for the energy in the divine union, has to do with timing right now, because the feminine energy is not necessarily feeling so much of that amplification forward, so much as it's coming through and articulating as a point of trepidation. Feminine energy pulling back, if you will, that those setbacks and hurdles are actually amplifying the care and level or degree of care that feminine is taking, utilizing a point or power of observation here. This is why we see even now that point is coming almost through as a point of recalibration, if you will, and it is being articulated and amplified for the energy in the divine union frequency as coming through with a plan in relation to timing, being able to find that point, to find that midpoint that feels like it is viable for both masculine and feminine right now, even in the divine union frequency, bearing in mind that this is not based on gender, but what it feels most aligned to. It is requiring a moment of compromise, and even now, there's something about this right now that doing so in this fashion feels like it is taking a new approach, feels like it is almost opening up new possibilities, but all of this is based on trying, we're seeing here in a way, to come into a point of modification in terms of it escalating and speeding up some kind of cycle or process here. Something is becoming easier or faster. This is expressing itself in the divine union frequency as a feeling of trying to come into a point of efficiency. Now, masculine and feminine coming into the divine union frequency. This is the energy that is moving so rapidly into divine union right now, specifically because what we find is interesting here is this is the same energy that may be saying to themselves, we are going to move very slowly. Is it in fact almost amplifying the fact that they're already in the divine union frequency? And it is feeling like that is that point of difference between masculine and feminine. In the feminine energy right now, that sense of settling down, that sense of not necessarily feeling like you need to rush through something, this is almost amplifying the fact that this is feminine that is feeling a security of seeing a masculine that is moving towards them, not only with a lot of vitality, not only with a lot of determination, but almost with that level and degree of consistency. This could even be amplifying and articulating to a lot of discussions about new possibilities, new plans today for energy coming into divine union. Because again, this is that breakthrough that we're effectively seeing that is leading to the energy coming into the divine union frequency. Now, masculine and feminine that are in separation right now, this is that moment of breaking through any of those karmic cycles that may have been holding you back or holding you in place. Because one of the things that we're seeing to a certain extent for both masculine and feminine energy in separation right now is there's almost a becoming a point or degree of emotional and spiritual exhaustion that is being reached right now in terms of seeing energy connected to circumstances and situations coming through with new possibilities, new opportunities, new communication. Now, I have to stress this is hitting a bit of a different impact depending on where you are for feminine or masculine, bearing in mind that this is not based on gender, but what it feels most aligned to. Specifically due to the fact that we are recognizing that for feminine, this is that feeling that may be amplifying in feeling like that point of surrender is one that you've done everything that you can do and you're just effectively putting one foot in front of the other right now. Again, we even recognize and see to a certain extent that this is feminine energy that feels to a level or degree that they haven't necessarily closed out a cycle entirely with energy of the masculine from the past, so much as they're almost amplifying that message to masculine, saying, I am proceeding forward on the path that I determined that I would have preferred to move on with you. I am willing to do that. I am continuing forward alone in this capacity. If you care to join me, you know where to find me. And they're almost getting that security and amplification by other energy that is amplifying to the feminine that they feel like they've done everything that they can do. And this is feminine energy that's almost amplifying that their own ability of experiencing hardship is amplifying their own need to proceed forward right now, because we've almost seen that even for the energy in separation, holding space on something, looking at something and almost identifying and saying to oneself, how much worse can something get? Or how much more painful can something be? Almost feminine looking towards their own self and saying, I have reached the culmination point on how much pain I can emotionally take. This is almost serving as a wake-up call to some of the energy that is in separation, because it's amplifying the level or degree of release that may be necessary in a cycle right now, because it's not even looking at something and assessing the good. It's almost asking oneself how much more difficulty or pain one can hold or endure as one tries to remain patient through something. Similarly, for masculine right now, we see that the masculine energy in separation is going through the same situation or circumstance. These energies are very much in alignment, though this is feeling more like the masculine energy that is trying to rush forward right now. Because we are seeing that the reason that that rushing forward is happening right now is if this is masculine energy that feels like separation was caused from the masculine coming into a point of authenticity. This is masculine energy that almost feels like that separation was the moment of finding their own self and having to release what wasn't necessarily serving them. We see to a certain degree that masculine is moving forward in the same way, leaving some door or avenue open for feminine to come into a point of acceptance in the reality or truth that masculine has presented, but also not being able to endure holding forward in a space or place where that truth may have created some sort of rift or blockage. So both of these energies right now, even in separation, are feeling that anxious pressure or that sense of urgency in terms of moving forward back into the frequency. It's almost like they're coming into alignment with one another. Continuing to get clarification on these cards right now, second card in our 5-card spread for today is, we have here our Knight of Swords. This is the same exact energy that we saw yesterday for masculine. So if that feeling that you were having yesterday, masculine, is persisting today, this is why. This is feeling that point of wanting to take some kind of action, wanting to move more quickly. We even see right now in the divine union frequency, that ability of looking at something right now is feeling like a point of modification. And this is, again, almost masculine pushing forward and wanting to bring feminine into that sense of activity, that sense of activation. This is masculine putting a lot of effort into those spaces and places right now. Because, again, masculine energy's own energetic force here is showing the fact that this is counterpart energy. I will stress the ability and the power right now of the divine union does not necessarily mean that you always move in lockstep with each other. It is the idea of the counterpart. It is the idea that what one person lacks, the other person brings forth. And what are we seeing right now with that counterpart energy? Feminine moving more into a state of sedentary movement, observation, insight. Masculine wanting to drive forward with that energetic amplification of activity. So we see here that even now, there's something about this that may be feeling to a certain extent almost like a point of, again, needing to persist or come through in terms of finding that point of timing. Because even now we are seeing that there's something about this right now, and this is what we appreciate. This is feminine energy that's almost allowing the masculine to drive forward in this way. But again, almost staying there, holding back a little bit, utilizing a little bit more trepidation and caution to help the masculine move in a sense or a state of seeing what is ahead of them, as opposed to just moving spontaneously or moving with a sense of, I want to identify this as, what's the best word to describe this? It's going to feel like not necessarily taking something or moving in a rash action so much as making sure that even that desire to drive forward here is being done with a lot of conviction and intentionality. So even now, this could be feeling like a little bit of frustration, even in the divine union frequency, because we're seeing here that there's almost a little bit of energetic drag that is happening right now in terms of the speed through which masculine wants to move right now, with more of that loose energy of the feminine wanting to take more of a casual approach to circumstances or situations. Now, masculine and feminine in the divine, and coming into the divine union frequency right now, this is again the energy breaking through into the divine union. And this is what we like to see here, because these energies are effectively moving in the same direction. This is feminine energy feeling like that sense of relief that is potentially coming through right now for the energy coming into divine union, because seeing masculine take the wheel, as it were, bearing in mind that this is not based on gender, but what it feels most aligned to, that is the security that feminine aspires and desires to see, because this is feminine energy feeling the viability of divine union, because it doesn't feel like something that feminine has to lead the charge on. Seeing masculine kind of paving the way forward in this way is building feminine's own sense of security, because this is almost seeing an expression of a masculine that is driving forth in terms of a pathway forward, and feminine feeling the stability and security of a masculine that seems to be very consistent in their own point of conviction. Now, masculine and feminine coming in separation right now, this is why we see energetically so much energy that if in separation, this is now allowing a point of breakthrough in terms of potentially making new energetic connections, because this is either, again, feminine energy that is moving through a process or a cycle of release to a certain extent, almost saying to masculine, I know which direction I'm going in. I'm going this way. If you're coming with me, that is fine. But this is feminine that's almost saying to masculine in separation, I am willing to take that leap of faith. I am willing to see what that unknown is, if it's going to lead me into the direction of my manifestation. So we see here that feminine is almost taking that leap of faith right now, having felt to a certain extent, if in separation, that they're not necessarily releasing something behind them. They're almost saying that it has to come through in a positive way, because this is feminine energy that is trying to manifest masculine energy that has conviction on staying on the path with the feminine. So how is the feminine doing that? Feminine is walking forward and trusting in the process that the masculine energy that has conviction in joining them on that journey is not necessarily going to let them move forward and that point of solitude, or like this is feminine almost to a certain extent, trust falling into the sense that an energy that wants to protect them is going to be there with them. Masculine in separation right now. This is that same energetic equivalent. This is masculine going forward right now with that sense of conviction. There's something about the pathwork in separation right now. Specifically, if this is masculine that tried to bring forward the feminine, their truth, their honesty, they wanted to build forth the feminine in this way, but it led to a point of separation. This is masculine that feels like the gift or the benefit of that journey was finding themselves in the process of opening up to the feminine, revealing their truth to the feminine was really the act of masculine revealing the truth to the self. It was like that point of self-discovery through the point of expression of honesty. That clarification point, it's almost like it cleared the blockage for the masculine, even in separation right now, which is why we see that there's something about this right now where the masculine is almost moving forward with a state or space of deep conviction, if you will, because this is masculine energy that feels to a certain extent that breakthrough has helped them have a better understanding of what it is that they are truly seeking. Third card in our 5-card spread for today is, we have here our 10 of Swords in its reversal. Now, masculine and feminine energy that is moving forward in this way, even in separation, this is feeling like a restart. This is feeling like taking a new energetic approach to things. This is feeling like, again, this is either energy that is starting through on new pathways. If there are old connections right now, someone else's conviction or determination to make those changes, to come into that modification, coming through in a point of expression and openness is now allowing for new energetic cycles to be created here. But what we appreciate is this is masculine energy that is building forth in this way with the conviction and sense of purpose, effectively leading the way for the feminine. And this is feminine energy that feels like, again, that refreshing energetic sense of not needing to be the one that drives something forward, allowing that energy, manifesting masculine energy that is going to be willing to help take that same energetic approach. And we see here that even in the energy in separation right now, there's something about feeling that alignment, feeling that pathwork, finding energy that is in the same direction as you, potentially even having the same experiences in terms of recognizing and identifying what you want to change going forward. That is that point that we see now that is creating a state of conviction for the energy that is coming into the divine union frequency. Because what is happening for the energy coming into the divine union frequency? This is feminine, feeling that sense of security and stability, connecting right now with energy of masculine that's not just connecting to energy right now with feminine from a passion center. They're coming towards feminine energy with a plan. They're coming towards feminine energy with a purpose. They're driving forward with feminine energy, and they're leading with what they intend, what they aspire to. And this is almost masculine energy trying to pave the way to a certain extent. And this is allowing what feels like a breakthrough point. So these are either past energetic connections that are now getting that point of conviction in terms of adjustments and modifications that are going to allow for the clearing of the path going forward. Being led by masculine energy, effectively articulating and amplifying with their own conviction right now. And this is what we see here, that for the energy coming into divine union feels like, again, and this is why we see right now, this for the feminine energy almost feels like a point of deepening pathwork. Because seeing masculine energy in this expression, seeing a masculine energy that has that conviction point, that has that point of determination, not just in what they're trying to build with feminine for the present, but where they want to go with the feminine, that in itself is building feminine's own sense of trust in masculine energy, because this is feminine energy that is seeing here something that isn't necessarily disappearing on the part of the masculine. This is feminine trusting in the masculine here, because this is feminine starting to see a masculine that has an ability to do it again and again and again and again. This is feeling less and less like a masculine energy that's utilizing this as a momentary rush forward. This isn't feeling like a sprint. This is feeling like masculine energy that knows how to run a marathon, if you will. This is masculine showing the feminine that this energy that they're seeing on the part of the masculine It isn't a short-lived process. This is just the way that this energy moves. This is just where the feminine energy finds it. And feminine right now, seeing that repetition is the feminine being able to come into a state of calmness, because this is feminine energy that feels like they don't necessarily need to push so hard, because they know that when the feminine needs to pull back, masculine is going to be there to energetically back the direction that they're going with the feminine energy. So this is why we see right now that there's so much energy right now that is coming into divine union, because they're moving in the same direction. Masculine and feminine energy right now in the divine union. It's actually interesting because we're seeing a little bit of a flip-flop here. The energy in the divine union, this is where we're seeing that some of this frustration is taking root, because that same energy that is amplifying and pushing forward right now, that is bringing the energy into bear in relation to coming into the divine union, for the energy right now that's already in the heart of the divine union, this is feeling more like a feeling of unsettled. That feeling is almost like, it's almost like the echo effect that's happening from the bottom is rising up here, and it's being amplified to a certain extent in terms of the masculine and feminine energy in the divine union right now, wanting to take some new approaches, because that feeling of frustration, it doesn't necessarily feel like it's bringing deeper into connection. It feels like to a certain degree it's causing frustration energetically in the divine union. So what do we see that's happening in the pathwork of the energy in divine union right now? This is potentially bringing up experiences from the past to be able to find new approaches to them. So this could be, again, if there's been something about plans here, these are plans being picked up. This is something that is being looked at and reassessed to see if there's something here that needs to be changed or course corrected, given the time that has effectively come through on something. So for the energy in the divine union, interestingly, this is actually where we see that the energy is feeling the point of frustration. That frustration is what is pushing energy right now into the divine union. But in the energy that's already in the divine union, it's feeling more like having to nitpick or pick things up from the past and reassess them to make sure that there is something about alignment here going forward. Continuing to get clarification on these cards right now. Fourth card in our 5-card spread for today is, we have here our 4 of Wands in its reversal. And this is why we see masculine and feminine energy right now in the divine union frequency. This is looking at future plans. This is looking at future obstacles. This is a moment of assessing, and what we see here, this is potentially readdressing, reopening plans to a certain extent to ascertain if things are moving in the most productive way or in the most productive direction. And we see here that this is going to feel a little bit more right now for the energy in the divine union as a point of frustration, because this is not energy that needs to effectively build trust right now. This is trying to work through efficiencies. How do we work through efficiencies? Typically, we work through efficiencies by hitting points of frustration, right? So this is like almost one of those things right now. It's going to feel like a little bit of like Princess and the Pea right now for the energy in the divine union, because that feeling of like, how do we kind of make this easier? How do we find something here, something that's potentially repeating and causing continual frustrations? What can we modify to effectively not have something that is potentially causing a continually repeating cycle of a frustration here? How do we ease this so that it doesn't become a problem going forward? Because we see here that there's something about a repetition of a pain point right now that the masculine and feminine energy in the divine union is experiencing that needs some point of adjustment and modification. Now, masculine and feminine that are coming into the divine union frequency, this is not necessarily a feeling that is causing separation. This is bringing you into divine union, because looking at something right now and experiencing it as a point of saying this feels necessary, this feels like an unnecessary obstruction, is almost, again, energy that is coming into a deepened state of divine union, because this is masculine that is moving towards feminine, trying to remove an obstacle, trying to remove a frustration point. Feminine seeing masculine that is not only moving towards them in a consistent way, but is also doing that path work of trying to clear the path ahead to make it easier for that connection to endure. This is feminine building that sense of security and trust in the masculine energy, coming into divine union. Masculine and feminine in separation right now. This is observing and experiencing a moment of recognizing a cycle that you are ready to break out of. Again, masculine and feminine effectively matching each other in separation right now, reaching a point. That frustration is what is allowing now someone to move forward into new energetic connections. Because right now it's the observation, even in separation, of something that does not feel like it is coming into a point of positivity. It's almost observing something that seems like a negative cycle. And this is why we see right now that feeling of frustration, of saying, I don't want to repeat a negative cycle, especially if there's something here that seems like it keeps happening, but it always has the same conclusion. This is the energy that is effectively breaking out of those cycles. Masculine doing it with a lot of conviction. Feminine doing it with the ability to trust fall into the unknown. Continuing to get clarification on these cards right now. Fifth card in our 5-card spread for today is, we have here our Two of Wands in its reversal. So effectively what we are identifying here is for masculine and feminine energy. This is coming through as a point of frustration that is potentially leading to new energetic connection. So I need to stress right now. I have to stress that there's something about that fire of frustration, that fire of like that feeling of anxiety, almost creating that sense of determination and conviction. That is someone taking this and saying, I'm going to take this negative and move it into a positive. This is almost the energy saying, I'm not going to sit here and let myself feel like this negative way over and over again. I'm going to effectively do something about it. So this is that, again, I told you, like that marble effect of feeling that sense of pushing forward right now out of anything that feels like it is the repetition of an ugly cycle. That is now building a point of pathwork for masculine, moving with a lot of conviction and determination and separation, while feminine is willing to take that trust fall into the unknown. Masculine and feminine coming into the divine union frequency right now. This could be the deepening of a lot of partnerships right now, because this is that moment of being able to ascertain and look at something that feels like it is an obstruction point, all for the sake of finding new opportunities and new possibilities to make things easier going forward. Masculine is looking more at these things that may be preventing connection with feminine as a nuisance, as unnecessary, as something that just needs to be hurdles that need to be cleared. This is why we see masculine maybe taking that time today, bearing in mind that this is not based on gender, but what it feels most aligned to come through with those new approaches of trying to clear some path work to move with a lot more steadiness with the feminine energy. Feminine, seeing masculine move in this way, is feeling the weight and security of a masculine that's not only moving towards the feminine with a sense of conviction, but it's also moving towards the feminine energy with a sense of predetermining and seeing and experiencing what looks like they're almost pre-seeing. They're using their own sense to see hurdles before they appear. And masculine's own ability to try to clear the pathwork to get into better connection with feminine right now is building and amplifying a feminine that is seeing both the consistency of masculine, but also the foresight in masculine to be able to almost ascertain what is going to be problematic before the feminine can even see it, which is furthering feminine energy's own confidence in the masculine energy here. Masculine and feminine energy in the divine union frequency. This is why we identify that this is almost this moment that is feeling like, again, this is going to feel, it's interesting, the energy in the divine union is actually experiencing this more as a sense of frustration than all of the other energy that is not in the divine union frequency right now. Because again, that is the difference that is amplifying and empowering a lot of that energy to come into union right now. But the energy in the heart of it doesn't have anything to do so much with that feeling of frustration, which is why we see that that is almost coming through and trying to look at something with a sense of urgency in terms of moving out of anything that feels like it is creating more of an unnecessary blockage in relation to the manifestation goals of the energy in the divine union frequency. Continuing to get clarity between these cards right now, between our Fool card in combination with our Knight of Swords. May I please have one card to clarify? Clarification coming through right now with our King of Pentacles. This is why we see in the heart of the divine union frequency right now, this is expressing itself more as a state of frustration for masculine energy. So masculine energy right now, if you're feeling any of that sense of frustration, why? Because this is masculine wanting to rush something ahead right now, because not being able to see a change point, not being able to see something that is getting changed here, observing something that almost feels like something that is repeating and problematic right now. It is making the masculine energy feel more unstable, which is why we see in a way this is masculine potentially trying to drive forth in some way right now to make something easier. And even now, this may create for the energy in the divine union frequency something that feels like a point that may create a little bit of instability here, because this is feminine. Interestingly, we usually see this the other way. This is feminine taking a more lackadaisical approach on things, bearing in mind that this is not based on gender, but what it feels most aligned to. This is feminine taking more of a carefree wait and see approach on something, while masculine is the one saying, no, let's not wait and see. Let's just move forward on this as much as we can to overcome these hurdles. Because feminine is effectively looking right now, and they're thinking to a certain extent in terms of, again, stepping back, reassessing, reconsidering, putting this into a state or space of wanting to take more of a wait and see approach on something, while masculine is much more in that modality of being like, no, let's not wait and see. Let's just take action. So even now for the energy in the divine union, this could be expressing itself as some points of instability or frustration that may be coming to the surface today, particularly for masculine energy, because we see here that this is masculine energy that is almost looking towards the feminine to share the masculine's own sense of conviction, as it were. Masculine and feminine in coming into the divine union frequency, this is that moment that's actually driving the energy forward deeper into the heart of the divine union. This is coming through right now as the work. That energy that's feeling like it's creating frustration in the divine union frequency is what's amplifying the energy coming into divine union, because this is that feeling that, again, feminine feeling the security and stability of a masculine that is very much driven in the direction that they want to go into is actually slowing the feminine energy down to a certain extent, taking more of a wait and see approach to a certain extent. But even masculine here is almost amplified right now in terms of wanting to clear anything that feels like an unnecessary hurdle. This is just trying to get things out of the way that don't feel like they're effectively, bringing any positives here, because this is masculine that almost like, again, is feeling such a conviction of wanting to move forward with feminine in this way that anything that feels like it's blocking that connection point is almost something that masculine's trying to find an ability to clear out. So we're seeing here that this could be talking right now and seeing like a lot of masculine energy coming towards feminine with new ideas, new concepts, new plans in relation to building deeper into the heart of the divine union frequency. Feminine, seeing a masculine moving in this way, is feminine almost like calming down a little bit, because this is feminine feeling that sense of a masculine that they don't feel like they need to force them in this direction. Masculine's own conviction is building that sense of trust for the feminine. Masculine and feminine in separation right now, what we're effectively seeing and identifying is that sense of frustration that sense of feeling like one has done everything that they can do. This is why we see to a certain extent that feminine in separation right now is willing to take that trust fall into the unknown, as it were, because this is the feminine energy that we said almost had to just step back from a circumstance or situation to see what would exist if feminine didn't put so much energetic effort in something, to see whether that was going to lead to the masculine stepping forward, taking the reins, as it were, or if it was going to amplify masculine energy that just doesn't have that same sense of conviction in terms of maintaining the status quo necessary in order to maintain an energetic connection. So feminine energy, in a way, the reason that we see that so much energy in separation right now is finally able to let go of something is this is almost feminine energy saying, like, universe, take the wheel. This is feminine energy going, I wonder what would happen if I just let go of this wheel here that I'm moving this relationship or situation in, to see if the masculine has the ability or power to step forward and to like come in at that point to lend support to the feminine, or if it's just amplifying the fact that the masculine is nowhere to be seen when something of that significance or importance is required. And that is why we see right now this is feminine feeling or validated right now, either seeing that happening on the part of a masculine, of a feminine saying, what if I just kind of like step back from this? Seeing masculine either run forward to try to help and fix something, or a masculine that also just kind of continues to stay back. This is how we see right now that the feminine energy is breaking through any of these cycles, because this is feminine almost saying like, I'm not going to be the one to fix this because I'm not the one that effectively broke it, right? This is feminine saying it's not my job to constantly try to fix something. This is feminine saying, are you going to kind of meet me here? And we see that even now, that ability to do that is what is allowing feminine to say, I'm just going to proceed on my way. I'm just going to proceed forward. I'm just going to continue to do my thing. If the masculine wants me here, they know where to find me. They know where to reach me. They know what I've asked for. When they're able to bring it, they'll bring it. If not, look what's happening. There's energy around the feminine that they're starting to identify is very willing to bring it forward to the feminine if there is an absence of the masculine being able to do so. So we see here for masculine energy, this is the same moment energetically that we're seeing in separation, because what we're really identifying right now for a lot of that masculine energy, this moment of feeling like if you went through path work where you tried to be open to feminine, you tried to build with the feminine and the feminine pushed you away at a time that you were trying to be vulnerable and open. This is that moment of masculine being able to almost shed the false sense of self. Because if this is masculine energy that felt like they had to create a wall of illusion around feminine to be able to maintain a partnership, this is masculine in separation having the breakthrough point and saying, oh my goodness, I wasn't creating an illusion around feminine. I was creating an illusion around myself. This is masculine coming into that sense of understanding that when we build in an illusory space for someone else, the only place that we're building a space of illusion on is the self. This is why we see that for a lot of the masculine energy in this modality, this is like, I can't go back there. I would have to be someone I'm not. I would have to pretend to be someone I wasn't. I was building a false sense of self to be able to be in some kind of relationship scenario. So this is masculine feeling that breakthrough moment and seeing and observing that something about the way that they did something in the past was potentially creating a sense of instability. So we see here that that sense of understanding, that conviction, is what is now driving masculine energy forward to a certain degree, because it is seeing their own sense of self and observing that something about the way that they were moving was feeling like they were creating a space or place where they weren't necessarily being their truest version of self. So we see even now for a lot of the masculine energy and separation, finding oneself on this journey, being into that space of openness is now building the connection forward, because it now feels that you can proceed forward with that intentionality, with that driven purpose, with that deeper understanding of who you are and what it is that you truly desire. Continuing to get clarification on these cards right now between our Knight of Swords in combination with our Ten of Swords in its reversal. May I please have one card to clarify? Clarification coming through right now with our Knight of Wands. Masculine and feminine energy in separation. What do we see is happening right now for the feminine energy in separation? Taking that approach right now. This is feminine energy in separation. This isn't chasing after masculine, asking masculine to effectively do their share or do their part in something. This is feminine energy almost saying, I am going forward right now. Energy that wants to meet me on this manifestation like path knows where to find me. It's not something that I'm going to have to ask them for these things because they're already going to be doing them. So what we see to a certain extent right now is, again, this is feminine almost feeling like they're not even letting go of something right now. They're almost proceeding forward on their own path work. The only thing that they're not doing is they're not repeating a cycle that feels like it's painful to a certain extent. And again, what is happening right now with feminine? Feminine is almost feeling in separation right now. And this is why we see for feminine, this could be feeling in separation, like you're like doing dual path work. You're flipping back and forth because there may be some masculine energy right now that's coming forward towards you and trying to bring problems, trying to connect back with you by bringing problems forward, as opposed to energy around you right now of masculine that's bringing forward solutions, that's bringing forward positives. So even now there's a moment that feminine is feeling the amplification of what they're releasing versus what they're coming towards them on, building upon whether they're seeing that point of breakthrough, identifying and seeing right now that this is not feminine energy that wants to come into a point of conflict. This is feminine energy looking for path work of productivity, looking for energy of masculine that is effectively willing to work with them, moving in the same direction of them. So we identify and recognize right now, bearing in mind that this is not based on gender, that what it feels most aligned to. For a lot of the feminine energy and separation right now, it could be feeling like a moment of frustration, because this could even be identifying right now that feminine energy, you are seeing the manifestation of what you aspired and desired to see in energy that is almost articulating the oppositional point of the energy that isn't giving you that or isn't delivering that to you. It's like literally like that like reversal construct right now in seeing something that is potentially occurring right now and seeing the example of what one can do with it in a productive context versus how difficult someone can make something. So for feminine right now, it could almost be feeling like you're like looking at two different pages on a book, and one is like showing like the difficult story and one of them showing like the point of productivity here. So we identify and see to a certain extent right now, this is feminine, like observing something and building a sense of context, because again, what is happening right now for the energy of the feminine that is coming into divine union? This is feminine energy that is articulating to masculine something that masculine may have been a blockage in the past, may have continually created a point of like separation or hostility or frustration, is now effectively picked up on someone saying, are you kidding me? That's making me move forward towards you even faster. That's not a problem at all. That's not a hurdle at all. That's something that's easily remedied. So feminine seeing that switch occurring, seeing the difference of someone taking something and creating a problem where one doesn't exist versus someone saying that's not a problem. That's something easily remedied. That's something that I can navigate with ease, not even thinking about it. Even now we see that feminine energy, seeing the masculine driving towards them even closer because of the setback energy. This is amplifying to feminine that there is something here that is leading to divine union. And it's difficult, and this is why we see it so difficult for a lot of the feminine energy, because it's almost amplifying the path work that wasn't allowing that same clearance point to occur. This is the healing from trauma that is being experienced right now at the same time as someone else delivering to you what you are aspiring to receive from someone else. And we see even now, there could be a moment that feels very emotionally triggering, even for some feminine energy coming into the divine union frequency, because that memory is outweighing the energy. It's being triggered by the energy of someone providing you that what you aspire and deserve is almost resonating to a sense of putting that weight on you in terms of not experiencing or having that in the past. So we see even now there could be a lot of heavy weight that's happening right now, specifically for the feminine energy, even if you're moving forward on this path work. So feminine, be a little easy with yourself today, because that energy right now, even if it's moving in a positive way, it almost feels like it is amplifying that sorrow that you may be carrying from some of the past experiences. Now, Masculine in separation right now, this moment and opportunity that we're also seeing, this feels again like today may be creating some sense of instability in some of the masculine energy in separation, because your own sense right now of understanding is weighing a moment of frustration, especially and particularly if this is masculine energy that feels like your openness, that your ability to try to build forward with feminine from a place of no illusions, your ability to try to fix something by coming towards them in a point of clarity and openness, if that led to a point of closure and rejection, we are even seeing now that for some of the masculine energy, this is being amplified right now by a sense of purpose and understanding, because this is almost a moment of recognizing this new approach that you're taking. This is coming into the feeling right now of almost, it's going to feel for some of the masculine energy like shedding that false sense of self is now driving you forward with a sense of determination and conviction. But it's also coming right now at like a very large, like I told you, it's like that light bulb moment to a certain extent. This can also feel somewhat destabilizing for some of the masculine energy, because that observation point, that shedding of the self, if you will, is coming from a moment of accountability. It's coming from a point of recognizing what you may have done differently in the past, what you might have been able to change. That breakthrough moment in being able to observe the self, one's own potential possibilities in the past of coming forward as more reactive, as coming forward as more hostile, as not necessarily providing solutions to the feminine, but almost creating more problems. That observation of the self is being amplified here. And that's what we see is actually allowing masculine right now to move forward with a lot more clarity and vulnerability and conviction going forward. So even now for some of the masculine energy, this is the same energy in somewhat feeling triggered, particularly in separation right now, but that it's also leading to a sense of authenticity and creative breakthroughs of self in the realms of openness, vulnerability, and communication. Now, masculine and feminine coming into divine union, this is why we see now that the masculine is leading forward right now. And for the energy coming into divine union right now, we actually are amplifying that there's something about this right now that is driving masculine energy even more directly towards feminine to a certain degree, because this is masculine building a sense of protectiveness towards feminine. This is masculine almost feeling the weight and severity of seeing and observing feminine energy that is effectively, again, if these are energies coming into divine union right now, this is potentially even feminine energy that is articulating to masculine experiences from the past that weigh heavily on the masculine. And what is the masculine feeling like they're doing to a certain extent? This is masculine energy almost like coming to this is masculine almost feeling like to a certain extent that they're like coming, I want to say this is like, coming to the aid of the feminine. This is masculine almost moving with so much determination and conviction to try to show the feminine that there has been this point of adjustment, that this is masculine energy that maintains that point of conviction, that maintains that point of determination, that this isn't necessarily masculine energy moving in a reactive fashion, so much as this is masculine energy that is showing, again, through the repetition of their own conviction, that this is not something that they're going to reach an exhaustion point on. So we even see right now for a lot of the masculine energy, one of the only hurdles that we're potentially encountering right now, which is where we're going to come into the divine union, which is why, ironically, the sense of frustration is going to be most pronounced right now in the energy of the divine union, because that same sense of frustration that is pushing energy right now deeper into the heart of the divine union is feeling more like a nuisance energy of the energy in the divine union, because this is not necessarily increasing the level of trust that is there. The trust is set. If anything right now, this is masculine specifically feeling this moment of wanting to come into better alignment. And even now we see that this could be indicative of some masculine energy in the divine union frequency, trying to channel their own sense of frustration into productivity. Not allowing, trying to observe and not wanting to have some kind of cycle repeat to a certain extent. But what we see here that is so difficult, and this is why this may create a little bit of conflict energy for the energy in the divine union frequency, is this is masculine energy that is observing something that is becoming an obstacle and a repeating cycle that they want to effectively create a point of positivity through. But at the same time, it is challenging because it's creating a sense of frustration for the masculine to such an extent that it may feel like, in a way, this is creating a little bit of a mind over matter situation for some of the masculine energy going through this right now, because it's almost like, I want to say that this is going to feel like a little bit of like a knuckle biting moment in terms of like experiencing something and wanting to like fix it, but trying to find a productive way through it that doesn't create that sense of reactivity. Feminine, you may be seeing this on the part of the masculine energy right now. And the problem with the masculine energy is, again, this is almost feminine energy looking with a sense of innocence towards a masculine, especially if there's something here that feels like there is something that is repeating here. Because this is feminine energy that is almost taking more of a carefree or lackadaisical approach to something that feels like it is cyclical, something that feels like it is repeating here. So what we see, and again, this is why right now, even for the path work between masculine and feminine, this may require some unpacking. This may require some unpacking here. This may be speaking like a lot of nuance that's potentially happening right now, even in the heart of the divine union frequency, because this is feminine energy that is unpacking a lot of the trauma from the past today, even in the divine union frequency, which is why we see to a certain extent right now that that point is almost looking towards the masculine and ascertaining what that directionality is. Because this is, again, this is feminine energy that is effectively looking towards the masculine right now. And again, recognizing and trying to see if there's something here that is going to move into a productive space, because even now we recognize and see here that feminine energy is unpacking their own past to such a certain degree right now that it may create a state or space that is difficult for the energy in the divine union, because it's almost like something about those past experiences weighing on the present that's making it hard to see things in a productive way. So for the energy right now in the divine union frequency, patience is key. Patience is key, especially in relation to coming into some point of modification, in relation to planning. Because this is feeling more like frustrations that are arising in relation to the path going forward. This is feeling like there needs to be some clarification on path work, as it will, because this is being articulated by some feelings of setbacks that are creating momentary frustrations and potentially bringing up some experiences from the past today. So this is a little bit of hairy energy, even for the energy in the divine union frequency. And I actually would say specifically for the energy in the divine union frequency. Continuing to get clarification on these cards right now, we have here our 7 of Pentacles in its upright. This is why I'm telling you right now that patience is going to be key. Planning is going to be key. Not moving impulsively today is going to be key. Not allowing, especially for the masculine energy, channeling what could be feeling like a sense of frustration into something that feels like it is productive is going to be key today. And it is going to be a little difficult because we do see here that this is requiring a moment of feeling like there's some kind of blockage. Like I said, the same thing that we saw yesterday, that wall in relation to like a manifestation goal or something coming into a point of breakthrough. There's something here that needs to be effectively modified to a certain degree. And the solution for that path work is, again, consideration, planning, making sure that there isn't something here that just feels like some kind of like, I want to say, amorphous future context. We see here that the solution is coming through for a lot of the energetic connections in divine union as figuring out what that path looks like, laying those circumstances down, building those milestones right now to create a sense of easement in relation to circumstances that feel like there are some kind of blockages here. Now, masculine and feminine coming into the divine union, this is going to feel more productive. You can see why this will feel more productive, because this planning, this ability to plan forward right now through a frustration is what's leading to deepening energetic connections, because that is feeling like, again, feminine experiencing the stability of a masculine that's not only moving towards feminine from a point of conviction, but is also laying the groundwork in relation to the plans that they want to create with the feminine, is again for the feminine feeling like a breakthrough point. It's not coming through as frustration like it is for the energy in the heart of the divine union frequency. It's feeling like a breakthrough for the energy coming into the divine union frequency of building deeper into it. It's bringing it in. It's bringing it up with that point of frustration, because it's leading to the plans to overcome the obstacles or the hurdles. Masculine and feminine. And even now, though, it is feeling like there is that kind of heavy weight that's coming into play, because even doing so right now is almost amplifying and reminding energy of what could not work in that capacity. It's being encouraged. It's being leveraged. It's like the past experience. The setbacks are what's amplifying the point of productivity, not wanting to repeat the past mistakes, as it were. Masculine and feminine in separation right now. This is why we see so much energy that is potentially now moving into a space of leaving themselves open for new energetic connections. Because what we're effectively seeing and recognizing right now is, again, for feminine energy, this is that feeling of saying, I've done everything I can do. I'm not even letting something go. I'm just moving forward the way I would move forward with the energy that would be with me if I was doing this. This is almost feminine energy, like waiting for that masculine energy to come home, as it were. This is feminine saying, I'm just going to keep going through the motions of what I would be doing if that energy was here doing it, because the energy knows what they need to do to be here. This is feminine saying, I'm just not going to wait around for that energy to come along to do it. And that's why we see right now, even at this moment, this is feminine energy almost, again, taking that trust fall into the unknown. And it feels like, again, this isn't even feminine energy that's like running away from something. This is feminine energy almost putting like one foot in front of the other and just focusing on what they're trying to grow along the way. Masculine energy in separation right now, this is simultaneously the same exact energy. These energies are in alignment even in separation right now, because this is masculine recognizing spaces or places where they may have felt like they were operating with feminine under some guise of illusion. This is masculine if in separation right now, potentially if this was something where they tried to bring forward the truth and honesty to feminine and it led to a separation point. This is masculine almost saying to themselves, I can't go back there, because that's an amplification of a feminine that doesn't necessarily want to build with me. They want to build in the illusory space that I told them I desired, that I now realize was actually me lying to myself, because I was trying to like live in a world of illusion or create an illusion around the feminine, not realizing that that world of illusion that I was creating around the feminine was a world of illusion I was creating around my own self and my own desire. So what we see even now for masculine is that sense of, again, accountability if that took place, but also focusing on what it is that you're trying to build for yourself at this time, keeping that level or degree of utilizing that experience as a valuable lesson that you are taking forward as you continue to build forward for yourself at this time in separation. Again, ascertaining and feeling like even through that setback, you have a better understanding of self, and that in itself is the gift. Continuing to get clarification on these cards right now between our Four of Wands in its reversal and our Two of Wands. It's heavy energy today. heavy energy. I'm just going to stress it, but it's also breakthrough energy. May I please have one card to clarify? We've got here, this is the energy of coming into a level or degree of seriousness, if you will. Masculine and feminine right now, and this is one of the difficulties right now, and this is the funny thing about this. You know, this is one of those moments that's showing that even in the divine union, sometimes things are harder in the divine union than they are on the outside of it. Today, it's going to be a harder day for the energy in the divine union frequency to a certain extent, because what we're effectively seeing right now is that point of frustration that is being identified, particularly with the masculine, in wanting to come through and not repeat a cycle and break through on some hurdles right now. Observing and seeing a feminine that feels like they're taking more of a lackadaisical approach in this way. It's almost creating like a sobering energy around the masculine. You know, it's creating a space or place where it's like masculine trying to come into that state of fixing something. It almost is amplifying a masculine that is articulating and trying to identify that feeling that experience right now. It's making them feel unstable. Because that sense of not being able to see the breakthrough point, not having that plan in place, is creating a sense for the masculine of not being able to enjoy the present. And so one of the problems that we're seeing right now, and this could be leading even now energetically in the divine union frequency as some difficulties, which is why I'm telling you guys, be patient with each other today. Be patient, talk it out. Don't let yourself get into a point of volatility over this, because this is feminine moving more with a wait and see approach, being more lackadaisical, being more willing to just kind of like wing it, where this is masculine saying, I don't want to wing it. I don't want to wing it. I want clarity. I want understanding. I want to see what that looks like. I want to see what this changes. And even now we see that this could be a little bit of the struggle point for masculine energy, bearing in mind that this is not based on gender, but what it feels most aligned to, in taking what could be feeling like a little bit of that frustration energy and moving it into something that feels like it's productive. Like, it's going to be a little bit of a nail biter potentially for some of the masculine energy today in this modality, because again, it's feeling to a certain extent the frustration of potentially not seeing a feminine moving with that same sense of conviction. Now, feminine energy in the divine union frequency, there's something about this right now that needs to be unpacked here. Feminine energy, it's giving me like there's something about the feminine energy today that needs to be navigated too, because again, what is effectively coming through on this right now? This is feminine energy to a certain extent, and I'm surprised to see this, having some point of resistance in terms of building out those plans right now. Because again, there's something about this that is requiring some level or degree of modification here. Because there's something about this right now that is almost amplifying what the comfort level of feminine is right now versus the comfort level of masculine. Feminine is, and this is why we see even now for the feminine, this is going to feel like both energies. I gotta stress, this is the type of energy that we find sometimes in the divine union frequency. We just got to come to terms with it, okay? We just got to come to terms, okay, with the fact that even in divine union, having to come into alignment is sometimes requiring a little bit of frustration. I'll put it this way. The way I'll put it is best. What is the sign of a good compromise? When two energies both leave and they feel frustrated to a certain degree, sometimes that is the best way to proceed forward. So we're seeing even now, both energies, masculine and feminine, in the divine union frequency right now, may be feeling like they're having to take that moment of coming into a point of compromise to find that midway that feels like it is in alignment. Because again, this is masculine wanting to rush forward. This is feminine saying to masculine, only fools rush in. And so here we see two energies that may feel like someone is dragging someone forward and the other one's pulling back. And so even now we see that this could create, ironically, for all the other energetic frequencies, this is going to be a positive energy. This is creating a bit of frustration for the energy at the heart of the divine union frequency today, my friends. So just keep that in mind. Masculine and feminine coming into the heart of the divine union frequency. Congratulations. This type of energy is what is leading to the deepening of the connection. Because for the feminine, seeing masculine rushing forward in this way is building on the confidence of a feminine that is learning to trust this masculine energy. Because this is basically seeing a feminine feeling the security to slow down, because they see the fact that this is a masculine energy that is not messing around. They're serious. This is masculine trying to lock something in today and getting very serious about it. And feminine seeing masculine trying to lock something in that way. It's feeling like a sigh of relief from the feminine, because it feels like the feminine is seeing something right now and being like, I don't have to hold that wheel. This is masculine taking that wheel and showing the conviction and doing so. And so it feels like a lot of feminine energy that's coming into the divine union frequency is feeling that like sigh of relief today, because it's feeling like that point of security and seeing a masculine that's not only having conviction, but is also matching that conviction with planning and breakthroughs and overcoming any obstacles that feel like they're getting in the way of the masculine being in connection with feminine. Bearing in mind, this is not based on gender, but what it feels most aligned to. Now, masculine energy right now, if you're coming into divine union, this is being amplified because, again, it's feeling like, again, if feminine energy has become like your home, this is masculine energy that's looking at anything that's standing in the way of that, of energy that's like trying to like get the obstacles out of the way in terms of being able to move forward with feminine. So again, this is almost masculine feeling to a certain extent that they're not even like changing their direction or course with the feminine. They're almost like trying to clear the way so that they can go forward with feminine with as much expediency as possible. So that's why we see even now, there could be something about masculine's own urgency here, feeling a little bit awkward because this is feminine being much more like casual about it. But the casualness is coming from a feminine that is feeling the relief of security of seeing a masculine that is showing that level or degree of conviction and commitment. Masculine and feminine in separation right now. This is the energy that is propelling you forward into new energetic commitments right now. That is that fire of frustration leading to a point of activation. Frustration, when used in a positive context, can be very, very powerful. And what we're observing here is that feeling of amplification is almost articulating in fueling the fire of energy, looking at some situations and feeling the frustration of something that is not making any progress right now. So what we're effectively identifying right now is, again, if this is feminine energy that has effectively done nothing else but simply take their hands off the wheel, as you were, in terms of situations and circumstances, this is feminine energy that's almost utilizing this path work as saying, like, I took a moment to see if someone was going to step up in the way that I needed them to. I took a moment to see if some energy was truly committed, to see this is almost like feminine looking at something and saying, this has been a very important lesson, because this is feminine seeing and identifying and saying, what would happen here? This is almost feminine who's feeling such an overwhelming weight here, feeling such a point of exhaustion, that this is almost feminine saying, I had to let go for a minute. What happened in the space that I couldn't hold on to something as tightly as I could? This is feminine energy that is almost building that point in separation of observation, in seeing whether that's masculine that was able to step forward in that moment, or whether that was leading to feminine seeing something that just starts to like fall apart or fall away. This is why we see that for a lot of the feminine energy right now, that moment, that ascertaining of a circumstance or experience is now informing them in terms of the seriousness of the masculine energy that they're building forth on right now. Because some of the feminine energy right now is seeing masculine step up to the plate in that way. seeing masculine that is effectively affirming to the feminine and saying, I recognize that I need to get more serious about this. I recognize and see that the way I was moving in the past was not the proper way. I am ready to get more serious about this. And this is either feminine energy experiencing and seeing that on the part of some masculine today, or this is feminine energy ascertaining and releasing in order to manifest that same energy as they go forward. And this is almost the feminine energy saying, it's not my responsibility to bring a masculine into that point of understanding. That's something that the masculine needs to do on their own. That is why we see a lot of the masculine energy in separation right now is also going through this path work, because this is masculine energy right now that's potentially feeling a lot of weight on past experiences that may have led them to that point of separation right now. But what's important about this right now is this is a very sobering moment for a lot of the masculine energy in separation, because if these are circumstances and situations where masculine's own ability not to immediately be open and expressive towards feminine, if something about that openness and expression led to a point of separation, this is masculine energy observing and understanding the weight of accountability that may have come to bear in those circumstances and situations. Because this is a masculine energy that's coming through a maturation process, shedding the old version of self and almost saying that old version of self was one that I am no longer in. I am no longer in that modality. That energy had different priorities. That energy was moving in a space of being more reckless, of playing more games, of moving in a way that felt like the concentration and priority was one based on enjoyment instead of curation. So that's why we see that for a lot of the masculine energy right now, this is that moment that may feel very heavy. And that's why we even see for a lot of the masculine energy right now, being able to take that energy and channel it into productivity in separation is very important, because this could be feeling like a lot of frustration of the self or the past version of self that is coming to bear right now in relation to what you're effectively trying to grow forward with from this point. That point of observation is starting in the realm of accountability and making sure that you're looking at that past version of self with some sense of care, with some sense of acceptance, recognizing that one of the gifts we give ourselves at a time that we have grown is often to look at the past version of self with some sense of frustration. It is hard, but it also means that you are on the right path, because it means that you're holding yourself to a higher standard than you were in the past. And that comes via the accountability of the past self, potentially in feeling a point of frustration. Continuing to get clarification on these cards right now between our King of Pentacles in its reversal in combination with our Knight of Wands. Talk about taking a negative and trying to turn it into a positive right now. Clarification coming through right now with High Priestess in its reversal. So again, this card was upright yesterday. So even now, we are seeing something that is happening in the divine union frequency that needs to be navigated. Why? The energy right now that is leading to the breakthroughs, for the energy that is coming into, that is in separation or coming into divine union, is articulating itself as a feeling of frustration for the energy in the heart of the divine union, specifically due to the fact that that moment of understanding, that observation point, feminine energy is seeing energy that is progressing in a positive way right now. This is masculine, moving with such conviction and determination that feminine is having a moment of anxiety in following the course that the masculine is leading on. This is almost the feminine energy again. Both energies right now. Remember what I said about the feeling of recognizing that a moment of good progress is often the moment that both energies feel a point of frustration. This is amplifying itself right now energetically in the heart of the divine union frequency, because we see here masculine and feminine both feeling a point of frustration, leading to something that is productive. So it's going to feel like both of these energies need to curb themselves to a certain bit to come into alignment today. And even here, this feeling may feel like, again, I have to stress, it could almost feel right now like the energy of separation experiencing and happening in the divine union frequency. I got to stress, being in the divine union frequency doesn't mean that you're always doing what you effectively aspire and desire to. You're trying to match frequencies. So being able to find that moment that you're both in alignment today may feel like it requires a little bit of work and a little bit of frustration. Masculine is coming into a point of instability. Feminine, it's coming into a point of questioning one's own self and one's own path. Do you see that even in the questioning right now, these energies are in alignment? That is why this can be somewhat problematic, because even when there's a low note here, it's like both notes go low to a certain extent, even in the harmonics of the divine union frequency, which is why it's really important right now for the energy in the divine union frequency to amplify productive conversation through the frustration. Being able to build that as a progressive point is going to be very important right now. It's going to feel triggering today, guys. It's just potentially going to be triggering, especially if you're in the divine union frequency. It may be feeling like you're not necessarily getting exactly what you want. You're coming into a point of compromise, masculine and feminine. Bearing in mind that this is not based on gender, but what it feels most aligned to. Masculine and feminine. Coming into the divine union frequency, this same feeling, it doesn't feel like compromise. It feels like productivity, because this is a moment of both energies expressing their frustration with the current situation that is leading to a breakthrough. It's leading to productive action. It's leading to something that is an invested commitment deeper into the heart of the divine union frequency. So you can see why this is feeling more like a sense of frustration for the energy that's in the heart of the divine union frequency, while for the energy that's coming into the divine union frequency, it's amplifying and bringing you into it a lot faster, that same sense of frustration. Now, masculine and feminine in separation, this is leading to breakthroughs and new energetic connections today. That feeling of like, again, it's going to feel a little bit like enough is enough is enough is enough is enough. For feminine, this is like, I'm tired of questioning myself. This is almost potentially, again, if this is feminine in separation, saying, I'm tired of being with masculine energy that's making me question my own insight, my own intuition. This is feminine energy in separation, looking at what's happening with the feminine energy in separation. Feminine's talking about it with masculine energy. Feminine's talking in separation right now about their frustrations with other masculine energy, with positive masculine energy. This is literally feminine energy working through this path work with another masculine energy that's saying, I've got solutions. That person sounds like they're just problems. That sounds like a lot of problems. This is literally feminine energy hearing from masculine going, that sounds like a whole bundle of problems from another masculine energy that you're dealing with. This is literally masculine energy saying that to a certain extent with some feminine energy in separation right now. And feminine energy is almost like, even now, this is a moment that is not necessarily even that point of amplification here, is almost creating a sense of trepidation with feminine talking to other masculines like this, because this is feminine being like, maybe you're saying that because maybe that this is something that's building a point of attraction. So even now, this is feminine that is hesitant. Look how hesitant this feminine energy is in terms of moving forward with new masculine energy. They don't want to. They don't want, like, this is feminine still being resistant to a certain extent, even as they're seeing that point of productivity that's opening up here. Masculine energy right now that is in separation, this is a moment that is either leading to the clearing of pathwork right now by identifying what wasn't working with the self, potentially even assessing and understanding what you weren't bringing forth in an experience to feminine. That's leading the feminine to seek energy that is more in alignment with them. Or this is masculine energy trying to repair back with someone that this occurred with. This is almost masculine energy. Again, this is either coming through in the breakthrough point. We're seeing two different modalities of masculine here. because we identified that there's some of the masculine energy right now that effectively is in separation due to the fact of coming into a state of openness, not wanting to build an illusory space with the feminine, led the masculine to have the breakthrough moment, the insight, the download come through saying, oh my goodness, when I build a world of illusion around the feminine, the only world of illusion I'm creating is one within my own self, because I'm not necessarily living my truth. I'm operating under a construct of someone that I'm not. So even now we see that that breaking of the shell here is leading masculine to a better sense of themselves. It feels like a deburdening of the old sense of self, because that's masculine coming into a better understanding of who they truly are and what they truly aspire and desire right now. It can feel, for some of the masculine energy right now, very destabilizing to go through that at this moment, because it's getting to the core of what it is that you truly aspire for going forward. We see either here that that's actually leading right now to a lot of breakthrough energy right now. And some of that masculine energy is potentially trying to come into a state of repair with feminine energy, saying, I get it now. I see it. I see what I couldn't see before. I see what I was not bringing towards you. So this is potentially coming through with a lot of the breakthrough energy for the masculine, even in separation. The question for a lot of the masculine is there something here that feels like it can be remedied? Or is this a moment that this is a deep lesson that feels like it came at a very, very heavy cost? Because this is that moment that we're almost identifying an experience that masculine may feel like they came to a better understanding of self, but they lost some kind of connection to feminine in the process. Continuing to get clarification on these cards right now between our Knight of Wands in combination with our Seven of Pentacles. May I please have one card to clarify? Clarification coming through right now with, we love this, Ace of Pentacles right now. Masculine and feminine energy right now. In the divine union frequency, this is taking something, that point of productivity, and moving it, the point of frustration, and putting it into some kind of practical application. This is masculine energy that's almost trying to say, as long as we're making some kind of change here that's going to lead to a productive outcome, some kind of change, this is masculine that's willing to put in the time, effort, and energy of investing in whatever that change may be. Because what we're effectively identifying right now is this is masculine that is doing a lot of path work right now and trying to clear up any blockages that are creating any sense of immediate frustration. And this is masculine, like willing, like I want to say to a certain extent, like energetically and spiritually right now, even in the divine union frequency, like wanting to put like their money where their mouth is to a certain extent. This is masculine energy saying, like almost wanting to overcommit to something right now, to say like, this is me effectively showing in some way, shape, or form that there's going to be some kind of clarification or commitment here, some clearing of the path work. This is masculine, almost like wanting, like feeling that full force of wanting to lock something down to such an extent, because this is the affirmation to a certain extent. This is feeling in a way that this is masculine energy that is building forth into the divine union by investing their energy in the long-term outcome of something. We're seeing that here effectively coming into fruition. For feminine right now, what's interesting about this is seeing this right now is requiring a moment of observation. We're seeing even now there's something about this right now that for feminine is creating more of a sense of trepidation in the divine union frequency. Bearing in mind this is not based on gender, but what it feels most aligned to. This is feminine energy looking at the long-term outcomes of things right now, trying to ascertain what that looks like and looking towards masculine for some clarity as well. Because what we're effectively seeing right now, and this is what's really intriguing about this, the feminine is taking more of that wait and see approach, but that is creating a sense of frustration in some of the masculine energy right now, bearing in mind that this is not based on gender, but what it feels most aligned to. So even now, there's something about that point of modification that is feeling like this is something that is going to require some level or degree of compromise for the energy in the divine union right now, because this is masculine wanting to take more of an immediate approach to something, while feminine is almost trying to put something further in the future. Feminine is trying to like push out and do a wait, like let's wait and see kind of energy here. The energy coming into divine union, this is beautiful. So what's feeling like a frustration point for the energy in the divine union frequency is feeling like an investment on the path today for a lot of energy coming into divine union. There could be a lot of deepening of energetic connections today in the relation to setting some kind of path or plans as it relates to what the future looks like here. Masculine feeling that sense of urgency, not wanting to wait and take any more time. This is almost like masculine saying to themselves, this is feeling like a little bit of catch up, almost like the best time to plant a seed was like 10 years ago. The second best time is right now. So this is masculine energy in a way doing something to kind of like put that seed in the ground today with the expectation of what they're hoping to build forward going forward. Feminine energy, seeing masculine moving in this way, ironically, it's slowing the feminine down, even coming into divine union frequency, because this is feminine, not necessarily feeling that same level or degree of urgency, but that sense of easement, feminine is recognizing as the feeling of the masculine, creating a sense of security for the feminine. This is the feminine energy, again, recognizing for the energy coming into divine union, this is going to feel more like a wave of relief instead of frustration, almost like, oh, good. Like, because this is the energy of seeing a masculine that's committing in a way to the feminine today that feels like it is creating that sense of relief. Now, masculine and feminine in separation right now, this is why we see the energy in separation. Feminine is basically taking one foot, putting it in front of the other right now, and just overcommitting to their own path work. This is feminine energy almost saying, I'm willing to do it myself. This isn't feminine energy that's effectively working right now in situations or circumstances wherein they are looking towards masculine. This is feminine almost saying, I am happy doing this myself. If someone comes through that is willing to work on that path work with me, I am willing to invest with them in this way. But this is feminine that's almost, again, even at this moment, and this is what we see here. If this is masculine coming towards feminine at this time in separation, this is feminine energy having a little bit of energy around masculine. It's like, I'm a little too busy right now. I can't right now, because this is feminine energy overcommitting on their own path work right now. Especially if this is masculine energy that's trying to come towards feminine strictly from a passion center. This is potentially this moment or opportunity that we see that the feminine's like, I can't right now. I'm a little busy. Because this is feminine energy that is looking for that stability. They're looking for that energetic equivalent of austerity coming into focus right now. They're not necessarily looking for like the caller that is just trying to like fulfill their passion center today. Masculine energy right now. This is, again, if this is a moment or opportunity in separation that you're coming towards feminine, you may be identifying situations and circumstances where, and again, you may be understanding now. This could be some masculine energy that's getting a moment. We're seeing here that there's almost a point of clarification that's coming through for some of the masculine energy, which is almost a recognition point of understanding and recognizing that the way that you're moving towards some feminine energy right now is the wrong approach. Especially if there's been spaces in the past that you're only coming towards them from a passion center, and the energy has been seeming like they're less than interested. This is almost that moment that's helping you recognize and saying, I was bringing forth the wrong thing. This energy isn't looking or doesn't need someone to fill a passion center. They're looking for someone that's willing to grow and build with them. So even now we are seeing that there's something about this right now that for some of the masculine energy and separation, it feels like a little bit of an understanding in how you might have been moving towards feminine, but what the feminine actually needs. There could be a lot of difficult conversations in separation right now that talk about beyond the passion center, what someone is truly committed on, what they're actually hoping to build. There's a lot of sobering conversations that I'm seeing are potentially happening here right now, specifically for masculine energy, because we almost see here that there's something about this right now that is feeling to a level or degree that that passion center, it may start like, it almost feels like something that feels like it starts light-hearted from like a passionate space, but moves into a level of intensity pretty quickly in terms of feeling like there's some very sobering conversations that may be happening right now. Feminine and masculine. Masculine too. There's almost this moment of potentially going back towards some spaces or places right now, especially if there's that deepening sense of self, to want to try to be able to build communication streams, looking at some energy right now and saying, I understand what I need to bring forward. I understand why I wasn't moving towards you in the right way. I understand now. This clarity is something that, again, and what's important about this is the authenticity that's potentially coming through in this right now. Because this isn't masculine energy, again, putting on some kind of facade towards feminine. This is masculine almost coming from a state of opening up on an emotional level, in saying, I recognize that I was creating a point of instability in past experiences, and I'm here to effectively change that by showing the fact that I can be consistent in what I'm bringing forth to you. Continuing to get clarification on these cards right now between our Seven of Pentacles in combination with our Page of Cups in its reversal. May I please have one card to clarify? Clarification coming through right now with the Queen of Cups. So even today, this is heavy energy that we're seeing, masculine and feminine in separation. I told you, these energies, look at them. Even in separation right now, we see that there is energetic alignment that is occurring. Feminine energy feeling a lot of emotional overwhelm today. It may feel like a lot of energy of emotional disassociation to a certain extent. Feminine almost channeling that disassociation energy into what they're building and growing for themselves right now. Because this is feminine energy that, again, doesn't necessarily feel like they're walking away from anything. They're feeling like they don't want to be in a space or place of masculine just coming into a space of not necessarily being invested in growing with them in the same capacity. This is feminine energy to a certain extent, feeling a weight of, again, anxiety, almost feeling like a desire or need. It's almost like going to feel like the energetic equivalent of hoping to find like another adult in the room, if you will. Because this is feminine energy that almost says like, I'm not necessarily invested anymore in child energy that just wants to play. This is feminine energy saying, I don't have time to play. I have time that I'm trying to focus on what I'm creating and growing for myself right now. And this is almost that energy that anyone that tries to come towards feminine right now from a point of separation, especially if they try to come towards them with a sense of play, this is feminine energy saying, why are you actually here? What is it that you actually want to create? This is feminine energy almost saying, I don't have time to play. Almost saying it to like, almost looking at the masculine that may coming toward them in this way, like almost like someone like looking at like a child that doesn't understand. Masculine energy that's healing. What is the masculine energy doing right now, moving towards feminine? This is masculine energy in separation saying, I'm not here to play. I'm not coming towards you because I want to play. I also want to grow. I'm here to grow. And even now that moment is feeling like there's something here that requires time, effort, energy, and consistency, because it's almost that moment that's like leading the masculine to try to show the feminine in some way, shape, or form that they're not coming towards feminine in a way that feels like it is momentary. This is almost showing a level or degree of consistency and trying to identify and show feminine. I know what you're afraid of. I know I used to potentially even be in that modality. I'm no longer in that modality. And I'm here and I'm showing you the commitment to show you that I'm committed to this change, and this change isn't momentary. Because this is masculine energy shedding the false sense of self, shedding that childhood, that inner child wound and stepping into the role of true maturation. So for a lot of the masculine energy, this feels like a very vulnerable act. It feels like you're becoming more vulnerable even as you are growing. Now, masculine and feminine coming into divine union right now, this is why we see that this is potentially feeling like a wave of relief, because this is masculine energy showing the feminine in some way, shape, or form that they are invested and committing to the path going forward right now. And it could feel like a moment for a lot of the energy coming into divine union, emotionally overwhelming for the feminine energy. It's almost this moment that may feel like painful with relief, because this is almost a moment that like feminine is experiencing that breakthrough point in seeing something that is moving forward in a place and space that is also hearkening to them any memories of the past that effectively did not move towards them with the same level of determination or conviction. So even now, there could be something about, even if this path work right now is leading to a deepening evolution of a path work, it can feel emotionally overwhelming because it is hearkening back to any path work that did not leave open that possibility of opportunity. So for feminine, even now, holding space for that past experience, it feels like a karmic release process because it is amplifying what you had to basically surrender prior to this moment. Now, masculine moving in this way towards feminine, this is also feeling like a very sobering moment as well, because this is that moment of masculine recognizing that this commitment forward is you stepping into that role of a personal maturation. You're leaving behind childish things. You are moving into that space of acting and looking towards your future as someone who is cultivating a garden. You are putting that attention and that care there. And what we're seeing here, even at this moment, is this is a point that may feel very sobering to you as well, because it's almost amplifying your own anxieties and fears in terms of the true connection that you're building with the feminine. It's like that GPS changing into building with the feminine is also something that feels very vulnerable, because it shows the true weight and capacity of amplifying, stepping into that role as it were, for the sake of the energetic connection that you're not wanting to lose with the feminine energy. And even now, feminine's own trepidation here, it's almost like you trying to come forward and show the feminine, I am not moving in a way that you need to build a point of caution. I'm going to continue to show you that this is the path that we are setting up for ourselves going forward. It's an emotionally heavy day, even coming into divine union in this way right now, masculine and feminine. Masculine and feminine in the heart of the divine union right now. This is why this day is potentially going to feel very triggering right now, because there is that moment that again is almost being amplified in a sense, that point that is amplifying and bringing a lot of energy into the deepening of trust and commitments right now, may be amplifying itself to a certain degree as a feeling of having to come into planning, compromise. It doesn't feel so much like something that feels like a relief sense, so much as it feels like some kind of point of compromise. And even in that point of compromise right now for the energy in the divine union, having to do something here for both energies, it feels like there's something about this that isn't necessarily, it's having to come into, it's doing that hard work of coming into mutual agreement in terms of how to grow forward right now, that potentially is expressing itself as some feelings of emotional overwhelm to a certain degree. Because we see here that this is masculine needing to slow something down for the sake of the feminine energy. And this is feminine energy needing to speed something up for the sake of the masculine energy. So we see here that even that act of commitment and love in terms of finding that midpoint, it feels almost like a bit of a decrease emotionally and energetically, because it is the signifier of the goal and aspiration of maintaining that harmonic balance. So again, being kind and careful with yourself, even in divine union today, is going to be very important. Continuing to get clarification on these cards right now between our High Priestess in its reversal in combination with our Page of Pentacles in its reversal. May I please get one card to clarify? Clarification coming through right now with masculine and feminine, to Three of Pentacles in its reversal. So what did I tell you? This happens sometimes in the energy of the divine union. Sometimes everybody has to be a little bit displeased to be able to find the space or place of most productivity. And we're effectively identifying that to a certain degree here. Feminine moving into this space or place right now of feeling to a certain degree. There's a lot of triggering energy right now for the feminine in relation to plans, in relation to coordination, in relation to feeling that level or degree of pathwork that's coming into play here. Because what we're effectively seeing right now is almost a feminine energy that is questioning their own self. They're questioning their own choices. They're questioning their own direction, as it were, to a certain extent. And even now we see a lot of that is being exacerbated by feminine potentially looking too much outside of the self today. So this is a moment we need to see. We're seeing this with the feminine pathwork right now. Feminine energy, make sure that you're not moving into a modality of over comparison of the self with energy around you. Okay? There's a lot of energy here that we're potentially seeing that could be expressing itself in feminine, building some point of feeling like the grass is always greener to a certain extent. Don't let yourself fall into that modality right now. Because what we're effectively identifying in this moment is recognizing that that comparison of the self should not be validated by external energy. It needs to come from within the self. That sense of self-security needs to come from within, feminine. So make sure that you are giving that to yourself right now and not overly comparing yourself to what others have, what others are doing today. Okay? Because we're seeing here, I'm warning you right now, there could be some arguments that potentially pop up in the divine union frequency that feel like they're building on someone looking outside of the self from a feminine perspective and feeling a sense of invalidation. Okay? Let's not have that happen today, feminine energy, bearing in mind this is not based on gender, but what it feels most aligned to. Now, masculine energy, in the divine union frequency, this could be one of the hurdles that you're experiencing right now on the part of navigating with the feminine energy, because there could be a moment that could be leading right now to masculine having to have some kind of conversation with the feminine in terms of amplifying to the feminine that comparing oneself to outside energy is not the right way to go, that in a way it's almost like spelling out some point of disaster, as it were, that we're effectively seeing here. So we see that even now, masculine feeling like they may have to reaffirm something to the feminine right now. It may be requiring the masculine to have to put like extra effort in some spaces and places right now, because there is a little bit of energy right now. Both of these energies are like, spiraling out a little bit on this right now is what I'm seeing energetically in the divine. This is the divine union frequency, my friends, that I'm poking on, that I'm bringing this up to. It's ironic because this is what's happening in the divine union frequency. This is amplifying commitment in the other frequencies. In the other frequencies, this is that moment that we're effectively seeing that coming into divine union right now. That ability or modification point is being amplified because this is masculine energy that's almost trying to affirm a commitment to a particular feminine energy right now, in the face of helping to amplify a feminine that is questioning their prioritization around other feminine energy. So we see to a certain degree right now that this is almost masculine energy, a lot of masculine energy right now, affirming and building forward on a choice to show feminine energy that they are the choice today. That amplification is what's helping a feminine. But even at this moment, we are seeing for the feminine that sense of building in that way, it feels very overwhelming to experience that right now, because it's almost that moment of feminine identifying and feeling the overwhelm, again, of any of the path work that didn't necessarily lead to that same investment of committed energy. So even now, feminine going through that moment and making sure that even on the outskirts of the divine union frequency, this may be feeling like a point that could, something about seeing that investment point today, it may feel a little triggering for some of the energy even coming into it. So feminine energy, make sure that you're focusing on what your manifestations are today coming into the divine union frequency, because this is almost giving the feminine energy coming into divine union frequency that feeling of like cold feet, if you will, that's occurring at the time that you see that investment is happening, that moving into the path work. So be a little mindful of that right now, feminine. Masculine, you may be feeling like this right now coming into divine union with feminine, because we see here in a way, this is masculine energy moving with a lot more directionality towards feminine, because this is masculine energy that, again, it's almost like that weight or that value point. If these are energies that are just coming into alignment and finding one another, this is masculine energy almost being like, this one's mine. Like, this is my energy. Like, this is my energy. I've got this here. This is almost like the masculine energy being like, this one's like trying to like come into that like space of this right now. Okay. So what we're effectively identifying to a certain extent is that feeling that's amplifying here, because this is masculine energy that's moving forward in such a way because there's anxiety about potentially outside energy interfering in the connection point that they're building with another feminine energy. Bearing in mind, this is not based on gender, but what it feels most aligned to. Now, masculine and feminine in separation right now, one of the things that we're effectively identifying right now is for feminine energy, there is this questioning right now. This is feminine energy that is calling their own energy back to a certain degree. This is feminine energy in separation right now, really coming into some energy even at this moment. What's interesting is that we see right now for a lot of the feminine energy that is in separation, it's not the fact that there isn't masculine energy trying to come towards you right now. It's the fact that you're just not necessarily invested right now in anything that feels like it is a point of enjoyment. This is feminine looking and putting their time, effort, and energy into the practical today. This is feminine energy almost saying like, I don't want things that are coming towards me only from a place of enjoyment. Like I said, this is feminine energy saying, I do not feel like playing. I don't feel like playing in this way. I don't feel like coming into a state of delight and mirth. I've got things to do. So this is feminine energy becoming very practical to a certain degree, even in separation. Because this is feminine moving with such a degree of austerity right now that it's almost creating a space or place of like questioning their own self in terms of where they're committing their time, effort, and energy. So even towards anyone coming towards the feminine right now, experiencing in separation some of that hesitancy is because the feminine energy in a certain way, shape, or form, if there is energy here that's only reaching out today, it's almost like feminine energy saying, this isn't showing necessarily that point of commitment. It's showing something about someone wanting to come into an easement point today. And this is why we see that for the masculine energy right now, that is also in separation, this is that moment that they are also not in a space or place of wanting to come into a place of play. This is masculine energy that, again, it's like we're seeing here a lot of the maturation process for some of the energy right now that's in separation, feeling like there's a sense of not wanting to overly invest in outside energy right now. This is masculine energy that's really in separation, focusing on what their ideal partnership possibility is. This is masculine energy. And again, I have to say that there's some point of overwhelm that may be happening for a lot of the masculine energy in separation right now, because there's something about this right now that may be amplifying that the masculine may be feeling a little lost in separation right now. Potentially even weighing the fact that there's something about overly investing in outside energy to such an extent that it led to something around losing some kind of connection point with an ideal feminine energy. So even now we see that this could be coming through right now as a feeling of masculine coming into some point of instability in relation to some of the choices that may have led up to this point. But again, a point of observation in where you're putting your time, effort, and energy allows for a level of degree of recalibration in relation to how to proceed forward. So even now we are identifying that this could be a moment that feels very sobering to some masculine energy, but that is potentially leading to some deep breakthroughs of the self in terms of becoming more committed on a particular path and direction. Continuing to get clarification on these cards right now between our Ace of Pentacles in its reversal in combination with our Queen of Cups in its reversal. May I please have one card to clarify? Clarification coming through right now with our Seven of Wands. Masculine and feminine right now in the divine union frequency. What did I say? The energy in the divine union frequency. This is hard energy right now for the energy in the divine union frequency, because even now we see energetically finding that moment of compromise is feeling like a bit of a battle. It's feeling like a bit of an uphill battle right now. Feminine specifically, we're seeing here that there's a bit of this emotional overwhelm that is occurring. We are effectively identifying too right now. It all has to do with the investment of time, effort, and energy right now. Masculine and feminine. Masculine wanting to move forward again. Feminine wanting to slow down. Both of those energies trying to find that midpoint right now is leading to something that feels almost like even the energy in the divine union is coming through some point of conflict that is yielding a point of productivity. But again, even the fact that this is almost articulating and amplifying that even the energy in the divine union frequency, it doesn't mean that everything is always perfect. Coming into that moment of being able to find the harmony can sometimes feel very frustrating. And we see that right now for both energies right now, there is something about feeling like the modifications necessary are making it difficult, even in the heart of the divine union frequency. Masculine is leading to masculine wanting to put some tangible effort and energy on something, wanting to put a pin on something, wanting to put something down and say, this is the direction that we're going in. This is the clarity. Feminine feeling that point of emotional overwhelm to a certain degree. Because again, this is the masculine needing to slow down, feminine needing to rush forward. Both energies feeling like the vortex that is happening between them as they try to come into that state of stability. It may feel difficult even for the energy in the divine union today. Masculine and feminine coming into divine union, this is the breakthrough point. This is the energetic breakthrough point that's leading to longer term commitment. It's just very triggering to the feminine right now. It's very triggering to the feminine right now that's moving into the divine union frequency, because there's that feeling of leaving things energetically behind to a certain extent. That being able to receive something in this way right now is amplifying the journey that it took to reach this point. And it may be feeling like, again, feminine energy, experiencing a moment that you might have thought you were going to feel joy right now, but it's almost like feeling like that overwhelm oppositionally here that may be occurring, because it's like amplifying all of the work that it may have taken to reach this point is coming to bear in the moment of reaching that point of achievement. So again, feminine energy, being very kind with yourself today. If this is potentially occurring, navigate that. Masculine, if this is occurring right now, this may be feeling like you're offering something to feminine and it's not necessarily receiving that reactivity point that you expected. Because again, there's something about this. It's like almost creating a state of emotional overwhelm for the feminine. It doesn't necessarily mean that the feminine doesn't feel committed on that path work. It's just the fact that the feminine energy is feeling like a conflux or like a vortex of emotions at that moment that are almost hard to put into words. Masculine and feminine in separation right now. This is why feminine energy right now, this is almost feminine energy pushing back a little bit on anything that's coming towards them right now in separation, because this is feminine energy that's pulling and calling back their own energy to such a degree that this is feminine energy that is not looking for a gesture. This is not a feminine energy that's looking for something that feels like a gesture. This is feminine energy that is looking for commitment and conviction. And so anything that feels like it's just coming through as like a gesture today, this is almost feminine energy, like batting it away, if you will. Because especially if there's something that is identifying an ongoing conflict, This is almost feminine energy saying, I don't want a gesture right now. I want a resolution. I want to see that you're willing to work to fix something, and realizing that it can't just be fixed by like a momentary gift or a momentary act. This is almost feminine energy getting a little bit volatile potentially in separation right now, by not even at the moment that someone offers them something, because this is feminine saying, is this really something that you're offering, or is this something that feels more like a gesture without the necessity, like it may trigger the feminine energy into a more reactive space, because feminine's looking, saying, I don't want a gesture, I want a commitment. I don't want you to show up to my house with a ball. I want you to show up with like, you know, a spade and a shovel and get to work like in the garden. This is almost like what the feminine's saying to a certain extent, energetically or emotionally. They want to see that deeper coursework. And what is the masculine energy doing right now that is building forth with feminine in separation? This is masculine energy that's basically saying, I'm not going to try to appease you with some kind of small gesture. I know that what you're really looking for right now is the commitment of effort. And this is potentially, again, masculine energy and separation working towards feminine that's already feeling like there's putting some kind of wall up here. And this is masculine almost saying, I understand why. I understand why you're there. I get it now. Either I get it because this is an experience that I've come to understand myself, and I'm now willing to really build forth towards you, feminine, and I'm willing to show you that I'm serious about that effort and energy. Or this is masculine energy coming towards feminine that they are in that point of isolation with, and recognizing and identifying and saying, I understand what I wasn't giving you before that was creating that point of conflict. I understand that the reason that you were being emotionally triggered was because I was withholding something from you that you desperately needed. So that ability of masculine to identify that is, again, showing a masculine that has figured out the path of the self required. That, again, the work that we do in building connections is what we do during the hard parts, not what we do during the easy parts. Final card for today's spread, between our Three of Cups in its reversal in combination with our Seven of Wands. May I please have one card to clarify? Clarification coming through right now with our Knight of Pentacles in its reversal. Now, masculine and feminine right now in the divine union frequency. Even now, I'm telling you, we're seeing that there's some kind of energy happening in the divine union frequency that may be coming across more as some I got to warn you, it's volatile. It feels like it's volatile energy right now. And there's a need right now to make sure that you're taking this and bringing it into energetic positivity. Because what we're effectively seeing right now is both energies. Do you see this combination right now? Do you see how these energies are energetically matching each other to a certain degree in relation to that feeling of frustration or that feeling of adversity? The problem that we're seeing here is that both energies feel like they need to come into a modification point to be able to find that like path work forward right now. And the problem is it feels like a bit of an upward battle today. Masculine, this is that moment that may be amplifying and feeling a point of frustration in terms of recognizing some kind of gesture that you put forward here and not necessarily feeling like it is being appreciated or seen. Like this is that moment of, again, masculine feeling the frustration of wanting to put forward some effort here and not necessarily seeing that it's coming through. So even now there's something about the masculine feeling underappreciated in a moment that needs to be taken into some kind of construct, because we're seeing here that there could be masculine right now in divine union that is feeling a point of frustration in terms of what they need to modify to please the feminine energy, that may be creating something that feels a little bit frustrating to the masculine in terms of feeling some point of instability and being unsure what to bring forward to the feminine to create that easement point. Feminine right now in partnership, in divine union, that ability right now is really important, that you don't start moving into the comparison of others around you right now, because we're seeing here that there's something about feminine comparing to others around them that is almost lowering or diminishing the effort and energy of the masculine that's potentially around you at this time. So we see here that moving into that state of gratitude today is going to be very important, but it's also going to feel very difficult, even for the energy in the divine union, because finding that harmonics in between for the energy in the divine union right now is feeling a little, I want to say, how do I articulate this? It's feeling a little crestfallen, maybe is the word. Masculine and feminine in the divine, coming into the divine union frequency right now. This is also some of that energetic equivalent that might be happening in relation to a masculine trying to lead forward to feminine right now and feeling in a way like the feminine isn't responding in the way that you had expected or anticipated. So even now we're effectively seeing in a way, there's something even about the energy coming into divine union right now that feels a little bit difficult or feels like it is somehow anxiety inducing, because we're seeing even now with the masculine energy, the feminine being in that moment of wanting to slow things down as you want to speed things up. It is reaffirming. This is almost masculine energy pushing forward in this way right now. Even in the energetic feeling right now of feeling the anxiety of how it is being appreciated or seen or respected. Because we see here for the feminine, there's a moment that's happening coming into the energetic union right now that even if you're receiving this right now, it feels like an energetic gut punch, if you will, because it is experiencing and seeing and receiving something that you haven't received in the past. And the moment of receiving something that you haven't received in the past, it almost like brings all of that past back to the mind, that is creating something that almost feels like this influx point, because it's that moment that is being amplified in the moment that you're receiving something, what you did not receive in the past. Masculine and feminine in separation right now. This is that modality of, again, feeling that sense. Feminine is looking for masculine energy that is willing to fight to preserve and maintain what it is that they've created thus far. This is why, to a certain extent, a lot of the feminine energy right now may be feeling more volatile, because if this is not a masculine energy that is stepping forward at a time that feminine is walking away from something, this is feminine energy that is feeling the full breadth of anxiety or frustration about what the masculine is doing instead of fighting forward towards something, which is almost amplifying the direction that feminine's going towards right now if they're not especially seeing masculine coming forward in this way right now. Masculine in separation right now, this is that moment that's amplifying your own ability to fight for something, your own ability to come towards feminine in a way. And there's a moment right now that is almost being amplified to a certain degree in terms of masculine, what the masculine needs to bring forth to some of the feminine right now. And again, this is masculine either coming into a point of healing or coming into a point of acceptance. Because for some of the masculine energy right now, moving towards the feminine and saying, I am coming towards you to tell you I understand what I wasn't giving you before. That is the restoration point. That point of masculine giving feminine the gift of amplifying the gift that they weren't giving before is the gift that feminine is seeking. And so for some of the masculine energy, that point of accountability, that point of self-acknowledgement via apology, accountability, identifying and giving feminine the honest opinion and saying, I see it too. You were right. I wasn't delivering in that way, is allowing for a breakthrough, because that's masculine saying, I'm not going to surrender this. I'm willing to make the changes necessary to do what it takes to come into alignment. Or we see that this is a moment right now, if this is masculine, that brought that truth to feminine, that moved to feminine from a place of openness, honesty, dropping those armaments, coming from a place of honesty with the feminine. And if that led to a point of rejection, this is masculine energy feeling that level or degree of frustration in relation to recognizing and identifying the sense of finding oneself, but in the process of finding oneself, identifying how not knowing oneself prior to this point may have led to a lot of misaligned connections. So even now we see that for a lot of the masculine in separation, there's a lot of heavy energy here that's coming through in the realms of, again, accountability, either personal accountability of the self to mend relationships, or accepting what one wasn't able to bring forth in the past that you're now willing to bring forth on. But it comes at a very heavy price, because it is that observation of what you can't change around the past self that is amplifying what you can change in the present. Bottom of the deck on this reading today is King of Cups in its reversal. This can be very emotionally overwhelming right now for masculine energy specifically. Look at these energies today. They are in alignment. Masculine and feminine are both feeling emotionally overwhelmed. The emotional overwhelm on the part of the masculine is driving the masculine energy forward right now into activation. What's really important right now, masculine energy, I'm going to say this again. Don't let that articulate itself from a point of frustration. Let it articulate itself from a point of positivity and communication, because this is going to feel very hard for the masculine right now, because this triggering energy could put you more in a fighting spirit than it can in a space of trying to find solutions. So make sure that you're channeling that energy, that emotional overwhelm, into something that feels like it is productive instead of harmful. Feminine energy right now, seeing and experiencing masculine in this moment, is also effectively what is happening right now, because this is feminine energy that is seeing right now a masculine that may be becoming more reactive right now. But this is masculine energy that is feeling more reactive because they care about something. And so even now, it's almost that moment that may be being hard for the feminine, because again, it is amplifying not the question about whether masculine is in a space or place of caring about the feminine. It's whether masculine recognizes that they've done the work on the self enough to be able to balance those emotions in a way that feel like they're as supportive of the feminine as the feminine is emotionally supportive to the masculine. So both of these energies, this is some complicated path work today. But it's really important to be able to hold space for each other, because everybody is in a point of emotional overwhelm. That is our daily collective read for today. I want to thank you guys so much for being here to experience it. Just a reminder, if you would like to book a private reading with me, you can book one on my website, graystrega.com. My private readings are done over video, and if you are a subscriber to my TikTok, you can take 10% off any of my services when you pay. Just mention your subscriber name at the point of payment. Please keep in mind, if you book a private reading with me, it is a two-step process. You have to book the reading and you have to pay for the reading. Please make sure you do both if you would like to have that reading. Most importantly, please remember that I will never, ever, 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 ever reach out to you for a private reading. I will never DM you. I will never PM you. I will never slide into your inbox and tell you that I have a very important message that only I can deliver. The only way you can book a reading with me is if you book one on my website. So I encourage you to do it there. I'd like to thank you guys so much for being here with me today and sharing in these messages, and we will do this again tomorrow.